Hello and welcome to Buccaneer Book Talk. I'm Miss Temple and I hope that you'll check out some of the books we talk about today. We're going to start by discussing dystopian literature. So I have a question for you. If you could create the perfect community, what would it look like? What does life look like in your perfect world? Well, let me tell you something. There's no such thing as perfect. That is a utopia, which literally translates to no place because nothing is perfect. But for centuries, people have tried to imagine a perfect world. Maybe peace on earth, no war, no hunger. What does your perfect world look like? In all of our books, they have tried to create a perfect community, but that's what makes dystopian literature. The more rules they create, the more things they try to solve, more problems occur. In a dystopia, we have totalitarian government. That means the government has total control, and most often the citizens have little to no rights. And so in all of these books, you're going to see a theme of this totalitarian government and the citizens' response to that. We're going to start with The Giver by Lois Lowry. The Giver by Lois Lowry is published by HarperCollins, and it is the first book in the quartet. The protagonist of the book is Jonas. Jonas is a 12-year-old boy who is very apprehensive about the ceremony of 12. So the ceremony of 12 is an opportunity when all citizens in The Giver are going to receive their assignments for work in the community. Jonas doesn't receive an assignment. He is selected to be the receiver of memory. This is different from anyone else in his community, which is really rare because his community is founded on sameness. It's actually against the rules and considered rude to point out anyone's differences, but Jonas is pointed out for being different. Jonas is recognized for being intelligent, having integrity, courage, and wisdom, and the ability to see beyond. All of this is alarming to Jonas, and it's a new responsibility, which means his new job in the community will be alone and apart from his friends. Can you imagine at 12 years old, right now in middle school, being told what your job for the rest of your life will be, and you have no choice in what it's going to be? Being assigned your job for the rest of your life in your community. And now imagine that your job is one that you are the only one. No one else has this job. In fact, you've never even heard of it. That's how Jonas feels. When he takes on this new responsibility as the receiver of memory, he's going to receive the memories of his entire history of his community. He's going to know about war and pain, and he's going to also know about joy and love. And the question is going to be, is joy worth the pain? You'll have to read this story to find out about Jonas's assignment as receiver of memory and how he realizes his perfect community is not so perfect. Our next book is going to be from the trilogy Divergent. So there are 3 books in this set, and we're going to talk about Divergent, the story of Tris Prior. So Tris lives in a dystopian society set in the future after a war where we have made decisions to create this perfect community of people who live in peace and harmony. And so all the people have been separated into these different factions. There's amity, where people love each other. There's abnegation, where people are selfless. There's candor, where people tell the truth. There's erudity, where people are intelligent. And there's dauntless, where people have no fear. And again, coming of age story, the main character, Tris, is going to a selection process where she has to choose which faction does she belong. And so after you choose your faction, we see that there are some challenges. There is not quite the peace and harmony that's expected in this society. And so we have people following the rules and being forced to do things. There's a lot of science fiction involved, in which case The characters are sometimes being controlled by serums and shots and medications. There's some virtual reality happening. It is a very interesting story about trying to create that perfect society. It is incredibly thrilling, and it's also a very unpredictable book. If you like stories that things happen that you really didn't expect, Divergent is a good choice. The third and final book that we're going to talk about today is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, which is also part of a series. It's published by HarperCollins, and the protagonist, Katniss Everdeen, has become a household name known as the Mockingjay. This story takes place post-World War III, a fictional world war that has resulted in Panem, the capital. It's all that's left of North America. Panem, the capital that wants for nothing, and the 12 surrounding districts. Now, the districts all provide a service to the capital, and it comes at a cost. Because of the rebellion that resulted in war, the punishment is the Hunger Games. Each district must send one boy and one girl to fight to the death on reality television, and every child is required to put their name in the lottery. And depending on how much you need, you might have to put your name in the lottery more than once, because that's how you might buy food or medicine for your family, is by adding your name to the selection. Katniss Everdeen is not selected for the Hunger Games, but she volunteers. You'll have to read the book to find out why on earth would she volunteer to go to the Hunger Games, and then read to find out if she survives. Now, the Hunger Games and The Giver and Divergent and all of the books that we've talked about with dystopian literature all have similar themes, and that has to do with dystopian literature, and it's whether or not we can trust the authority. These books teach us to question authority. That might sound like a crazy lesson coming from your librarian or your teacher to tell you to question authority, but sometimes it's important to pay attention to what's going on around you and think for yourself, what is happening, and do I agree with this situation? Being able to think critically and make your own choices is very important. And so whether it's Katniss or Jonas or Tris Pryor, we see our protagonist questioning authority and making decisions to stand up for what is right. It teaches us to be brave and courageous, and it teaches us integrity. We also see the problems with governments that have too much control. And so it might teach you to pay attention to politics and be an active member of your community when it's time to vote or make decisions about what's the best thing for our society. I hope you'll check out one of these books today, and I hope you'll come and visit with me, because I'd love to talk about what you're reading.